We're going to try some what's called Stollen. It's a German Christmas bread, and it's kind of like the fruit cakes that we have in Britain and or the United States as well. But it has less fruit and more of a yeasty bread. It's a yeast leaven bread. It's a cake, basically. And on the outside you have sort of a thick layer of sugar, powdered sugar on the outside. Two versions of this. We're going to try the... Oh, there's also a layer of marzipan inside. And can or cannot be there. It depends on the type. Marzipan is a almond center, and it's crushed almond with sugar. This one here, it's called luxury marzipan Stollen. Luxury marzipan Stollen. It's pronounced Stollen, and it's the German Christmas bread. And this one is in Germany. This one is made in Canada, Delta, BC, Canada. So we're going to actually see what kind of things can we make in this country here. Let's give it a try. Okay, we'll start with the traditional German, made in Germany, Stollen. One thing to mention about this one made in Germany, so the difference between the two, and the reason why I'm trying this out, is the German one contains canola oil. It's essentially palm fat and canola oil, but palm fat is the fat used in this Christmas bread, whereas the one here from Canada has real butter. So if we look at it, it has raisins, water, butter, wheat flour, raisins, water, butter, marzipan, which is almonds, sugar, water, invert sugar. So these should be completely different in terms of flavor, and I think we're going to find better flavor in the butter one. Let's take out our knife. We're starting with the German version of the Stollen. Let me stop it here. That's the German one, made in Germany, palm fat, and it's 750 grams. We have a smaller Canadian-made one from Delta, which is butter fat. As you can see that it's smaller because it's only 500 grams. But it does, I just opened the package and I'm getting a much stronger, fresher smell from this Stollen. Canadian made, Delta BC, that's German made. There's two ridges on here which appears to be probably manufactured basically in a mold, whereas this one doesn't have that effect. Let's smell them. Canadian. Has a very strong marzipan smell to it. A strong smell would indicate a strong flavor. Underneath you have the raisins, primarily raisins, and here you have the German made one. Let's smell this one. It's also raisins on the bottom. It has more of a wheat smell. It's definitely not even close to the smell, the strength of the smell of the Canadian one here. This is from a large grocery chain in Canada called Sobeys, and this one is from a company called Loblaws. We basically only have two places to shop in Canada for groceries. It's essentially an oligopoly, and so we're we're basically force-fed this type of food. Here we go. We're going to cut this one here, the German one. Cut it. Have a look. How does that look there? And these are the ends. This one is a bit more springy, glutinous perhaps. Let's see how this looks here. So we have Canadian versus German. We have marzipan goes right out to the edge, right out into the outside here, whereas there's no marzipan in this end piece here. A little bit more raisins in there, as I said, a little bit more flour in that one. Let's try the taste. Smell first, actually. Canadian, much more, what's quite rum smell, I guess you could say, but I think that's the marzipan smell. The German one smells wheat-like, and it's akin to maybe Play-Doh smell, as opposed to sort of a marzipan or rum smell to that. Let's try. Wow. I can taste some of the fruits in there. It has a very traditional flavor to it. Nothing surprising. No off-putting flavors like sometimes you can smell someone's old house, and certainly it doesn't have that. It's floral because of the fruit bits. It's not very these are fairly dry breads, again using yeast. So it's good to have something on board like some tea. I do have some tea here. Now, so this one, so the Canadian one does have a floral scent to it because of the fruits in there. It's not particularly dry. It has a kind of a pleasant flavor. There's nothing, as I said, nothing overtly wrong with it at all. It smells stronger than this one, the German one, that smells more industrial, I suppose. And again, because of the difference, there's also a difference in cost here. Using the palm fat, the German palm fat is a lot cheaper than this more expensive one. Let's try this one because it does have more substance to it. This one has a much more mild flavor to it. Doesn't have the impact and quite the floral scent of the different fruits in there. That being said, it's not off-putting at all. You could barely notice the difference, I think, but you would definitely, if you're a connoisseur, you definitely know the difference. Again, a little bit odd with the sort of flavor of wheat, a little bit pronounced wheat flavor. Let's try it again. The consistency is good. Both these consistencies are good. This one appears a little bit more chewy, I think. This tends to fall apart in your mouth a little bit more readily. This one's more chewy, more glutinous. You probably get about a 30% more flavor from this one, from the Canadian made one. Much floral. A little bit of bizarre mint flavor in there too. I don't know where that comes from. You know, I think it does actually. The Canadian one does have a Canadian spin on it. Which is kind of unique. See, one of the good things, there's the marzipan layer in here. That's the almond. Marzipan is this layer inside this. And actually, if I cut into the German one, I don't think I even get to the marzipan. Let's have a look. Here's the marzipan. You can see a difference in color there. This is darker, and the Canadian one is lighter. Let's try the difference. Interesting marzipan there. The Canadian one, I would say it's a little bit dull in flavor. Tastes like it was mixed with flour. Oh, they taste very similar. The marzipan layer may be just slightly better in the German one. It's essentially almost identical. Canadian one with the marzipan. Canadian one tastes quite good. I'm surprised, because you'd assume that the German one would be better, but it does travel all the way from Germany. There's obviously a cost there, and cost in terms of flavor. Here's the German one. German one has more flour in there. It does impart a little bit of a plasticine flavor to it. And Canadian one, as you can see, is smaller, but it also doesn't have as much flour in it. Interesting. They did a very good job in Canada, and I think that's one of the interesting parts about the country, is that they do produce very good food. They don't produce a heck of a lot of anything else, but from the food aspect, there's a certain amount of trust that I give to the Canadians for their food quality. I think that we could be a major powerhouse in terms of production of high quality food. That being said, there's a lot of competition out there. Obviously, Japanese or Europeans have built up these incredible manufacturing facilities around food, and I don't think we're quite there. We're quite crude. Being crude, we do produce some decent stuff. whether they can compete with this one, Canadian one versus the German one, that's a good question. I'm certainly happy with whatever they've done in Canada, and I noticed a little bit of flavor of Canada in here, which is kind of funny. I have to chuckle. I can't really describe it very well. But it has that. It's like they put some mint in there or something. That's very Canadian-like. It's a very bizarre mint undertone flavor. I'm not sure where that comes from. Obviously, there is no mint in here. Oh. Let's see. Rum. There's actually rum in the Canadian one. And that's what I was feeling. It's mainly lemon peel and lemon oil. And the base is obviously wheat, raisin, water, butter, marzipan, orange and lemon peel, and rum, yeast, almonds, sugar, emulsifier, buttermilk powder, liquid whole egg. That's nice to see as well. Liquid whole egg in the Canadian one. Almond flour, or almond flour. Keep saying that wrong. Almond. Stollen spice. Oh, they've got some Stollen spice in the Canadian one, which is cardamom, nutmeg, ginger, mace, clove, cinnamon. I think that's probably what I'm tasting in this Canadian one here. Let's look at the German one. Ingredients. We've got more candied orange and lemon peels, orange peels, lemon. Do they have... Yeah, they don't have... They have nuts. Let's see, no. May contain trace of nuts, okay. It doesn't have the list of spices in there. It's mainly candied orange and lemon peel. Don't see any indication of... There's no nut, there's no indication of different spices, whereas in the Canadian one there's definitely a group of spices here, what they call the Stollen spice. In terms of health rating, let's see here, German versus Canadian. How are we doing on the health front? Let's see. Fats, 25%. 20% fat in the German, 25% fat in the Canadian one, and that's for 15 grams. And for the German one, it's 13 grams. So they're roughly equivalent in fat. Carbohydrates, they've got a little bit. There's iron in the Canadian one, 10% iron, so it looks like it's holding more of its vitamins. There's 0% vitamin C. There's virtually no vitamins in the German one, but you do get vitamin A and iron and a little bit of calcium in the Canadian version. So in that respect, you're going to get a bit more health out of the Canadian one. The German one has to be, as I said, has to transfer all the way over from Germany, so they've got to industrialize the process a bit more. They use sorbitol and humectant in the German one. This one, sorbitol. We don't see that in the Canadian one at all. The only thing that could be deleterious would be the sulfites in both of these. But that's very common when you have dried fruits. So definitely overall, the Canadian one is better. But given the fact that this came all the way from Germany, much more industrialized in order to carry it that distance. I'd say either one is good. That, and also you're getting the butter, so I'd definitely go for the butter.